Hi, it's Angela from Brainerd Weight Loss and Wellness Center. I want to go through some inflammatory foods, and there's quite a few inflammatory foods, and I talk about it a lot with my clients. And I think it's not just like a commonly known term, they don't know what that means or anything like that. So I just kind of wanted to break it down. I'm going to break it down into a few different series. The first one I'm going to talk about, so that for one, I'm not blasting you with a bunch of information. You're like, okay, let me get this all straightened out. We'll give you one at a time, let it sink in, let it really realize what it's doing for your health and your nutrition and your weight and all that stuff. Let's just stew on it for a little bit and really sink it in. The first I'm going to talk about is probably the most commonly known, and I feel like a lot of people are just aware of it, is it's sugars. That white powdery substance, sugars are very highly inflammatory for our systems. Excess of it creates like tooth decay and even acne. Your dentist might even know if you eat higher sugars or you have more higher sugar diet because they can tell on your teeth and in your, I think on your tongue and everything. I mean, they definitely can, there's different residue and saliva it creates or something like that. It's very interesting actually. And then acne, knowing that that will it kind of just comes through and it's not a pure good substance for our bodies. It's kind of a poison basically, but it causes other things. That chronic inflammation in our bodies, the risk of obesity goes up because you're having more of that chronic diseases such as diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and it increases our risk for stroke and heart disease and stuff. So some stuff that you really don't want to deal with, or that you, if you've seen family members go with, it's really hard to see and watch them kind of suffer and go through all the symptoms and have to monitor their diabetes and be on medications and prick their finger all the time. I mean, that's awful, awful things. And everybody would probably not want to do that. So being preventable is kind of a big thing. It actually is pretty preventable disease out there. That diabetes itself is really just controlling your health and controlling your intake and nutrients in your body. So sugar, where do we find them? Find them everywhere. It goes from like soft drinks to juices to punches, anywhere from pastries to cakes, candies, desserts, snacks, any packaged snacks, your coffee creamers, everywhere. It'll even be in like pizza, frozen pizza that you would think be a saltier food. You turn that ingredients list over, your nutrition facts over on any package that you're eating, and it'll list how many sugars are in per serving of that item. And then also in the ingredients list, it'll say what they, if there's sugars in them. And the sugars come in many, many different names. They kind of like hide them really, or they'll be multiple listed in the same ingredients list. And that such as like corn syrup, that's really common one I see is corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, sucralose, maltose, anything the ose afterwards definitely is probably a sugar. Golden syrup or high fructose corn syrup. Again, like all those are just different names for sugar. So looking for that, and then also how high it's listed on the ingredients. So if it's like the first, second, or third, like the higher, if it's listed sooner in the ingredients list, it has more sugar in it. The further it's down the list, the less sugar of that ingredient you'll have in it. So when you're looking at the ingredients list and you see it more at the top of the ingredients list, it has more of that in it, whatever it would be, whether it be wheat, whether it be sugar, whether it be fruit or whatever you're eating. It's going to be, they have to list it in the amounts that it has in the ingredients list. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much sugar it will have in it too. And if it's, if the item you're eating is mostly made of sugar or it's mostly made of protein or fruit or whatever it would be. So just a little tip on that. So I was reading actually that like if somebody's drinking just a can of Coke, that's 12-ounce cans of Coke, regular Coke, that would be like sucking on 10 sugar cubes. Do you remember those sugar cubes? I feel like they're not really known so much anymore. People don't buy them, but sugar cubes, 10 of those, you stack those up, that's like the height of the can. That's a lot of sugar. Nobody would just say like, oh, I'm eating sugar cubes today. That's 10. That's a lot of sugar in just one can of Coke. Not saying that Diet Coke is any better. I mean, those chemically made sugars aren't any better for you, and that would be a whole separate series. I won't get into that today. But if you have a sweet tooth, and I know that a lot is very addicting. Sugar is very addicting in general. But if you have a sugar tooth, some better choices would be like stevia. If you've heard of stevia, it is a natural plant extract, and it's a great sweetener and replacement for sugar, but it's natural. It's not made in a lab. It's not processed and broken down, and which white processed sugar breaks down really quickly in our bodies and then stores quickly. And if we don't use that energy, or that, quote unquote energy that it gives us, it's not going to be like a caffeine boost energy, but it'll be energy that your body's, that food or that sugar is providing. And if you're not using that, it stores. And nobody wants to just store what they're eating. They want to use it as fuel and be where they want to be and be healthy and happy, and have the energy for their daily tasks that they're doing. So they don't want to store it all. You use what you're taking in. So stevia would be a great choice and replacement for that processed sugar. Also something more natural like a honey or agave, even probably like a blackstrap molasses. That would probably be good as well. But really even fruit, mainly sugar, it's going to have it in fruit, and even dried fruit, or dried preserve, or not preserve, dried preserves, like a jam or preserves. But look for no sugar to add it, because when they dry out fruit and the preserves, they will add sugar to preserve it a little bit more and make it sweeter. And you can get stuff with no sugar added, and it's just as sweet and it's more natural. And those are going to be a little bit better, because fruit, yes, even though it's sugar and it'll break down just the same in our bodies, it's going to have the vitamins, the antioxidants, the fiber that a fruit would have, rather than like dried fruit would have, or rather than like just plain eating like honey, for example. Some sweeter fruits or higher sugar fruits are like kiwis, tangerines, oh my gosh, pineapples, mangoes, grapes, bananas. So I think in that sense, even though they are all natural, they're a little bit higher than more like the apples, the pears, the berries. So kind of just an FYI for that, not all fruits are created equal as well. So looking for healthy snacks, definitely make them more natural. And watching your sugar intake, because it definitely impacts not only your health for that day, but for long term, to get rid of those diseases, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, stroke, heart disease. So keeping that low.